Tun tun tun, interrupted rambling. Tun tun tun, making my own theme song. Interrupted rambling.
Welcome back, Ramblers. I'm Fatima, your makeup lover, cheese enthusiast, and tea speller.
And I'm Ricardo, a fitness coach, motivational speaker, philanthropist, behavior analyst, anthropologist, executive chef, and much more. And this is
Interrupted Rambling.
Interrupted Rambling.
The one about pet peeves and shit we hate.
Right.
But anyways, so that's my biggest one.
Mm-hmm.
Another one is bad listeners. Fatima's a good listener though, I think. Sometimes, wait, never mind, because sometimes you're like,
oh my god.
oh, sorry, clapping. No, because sometimes I'm like, Fatima, are you there? And she's like looking out into the distance. I'm like, Fatima, are you there? And she's like, yeah. I'm like, okay, cool. And like, for example, we would do assignments and you would be like the feedback person. Right.
That one, yeah,
Yeah, exactly.
but it's different. That was school.
Okay.
We were over that
No,
shit.
but for the most part, she's a good listener. But that's what I mean. Like when people are bad listeners, it's a big thing for me. It's like we're having a conversation, and I'm talking more when it's a conversation between two people.
Yeah.
Because I can understand like if it's a group setting and there's multiple people talking, and it's like you are
it's harder.
Yeah, you're in and out of the conversation. You might be having a side conversation with somebody else.
Right.
So you didn't hear the big conversation that the group was having. But I mean more like when it's like two people and it's like you're having a conversation and they're not like paying attention to you. I'm like, would you rather be somewhere else? You know?
Yeah.
Like, you're here, we're having a conversation, right? Like, do you
just
understand?
say you don't want to talk to me and leave. Like, I'm completely fine.
I was walking with someone at Balboa Park. I remember this, and it was funny because like we were just walking and talking, and I was gonna say like a story, and I do this often. I don't know if you noticed, but I'm like, did I tell you this already? Like, cause like I can't keep track of what story. Like what stories I've told to somebody. So I told this person, I'm like, did I tell you this already? And they're like, yeah, you told me already. And I like the way they said it, it was annoying me. Mm-hmm. So I'm like, if I told you the story, what was the story about? And they're like, oh, I don't know. And I'm like, okay.
So how can you say
exactly.
I said it if you don't know what it was about?
Exactly, if you didn't know what the story was about. So it became so awkward. You know, it was like the rest of the walk, because we were walking to my car, so I'm no longer friends with this person, you know? But it was like the walk to the car was like, okay, if you don't want to talk, you know, and you basically stop me on my tracks from talking, I'm not gonna talk anymore. You know, like I'm not gonna be the only one pulling this conversation, getting this, cause like for some people it's like pulling teeth. You know, like you have to like get a conversation out of them. Like, no, I don't want that. You know, and I think that has to do with being a bad listener, because if you're a good listener, I can talk to you and like we have an engaging conversation because you know like where the conversation is going, you know. So that's what I mean when it's like if somebody is like a bad talker, and that experience was like shocking to me because I'm like, this bitch just like really like stopped me from saying like having a conversation with them, and then they didn't contribute anything else. So it was awkward walk back.
What were they doing?
It was just awkward like a walk back to my car. So she was
even on, or they, I don't know who that person is. I
just
assumed it was a she, but they were on their phone, or they were just like...
For the rest of the walk, you mean?
Yeah, or like, were they doing something else?
We were listening to music. And for the rest of the walk, it was just listening to music and maybe commenting on the music. Like, oh, I like this song, or like,
cool.
Or like singing along to it. But I was like, I'm over this conversation, you know, like I'm no longer initiating the conversation. Mm-hmm. I'm no longer engaging with this person in that conversation. I'm like, I'm over it. And it was like a long time coming, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
We're like this was the final straw, in the sense that like it just made it extremely awkward. I was like, what the fuck? You know, like, okay, if you don't want to talk, like, don't talk.
On that one, like the whole listening part, mm-hmm. I can agree that like there's some stuff on my end that for me it's like I'll be like, I get it, you don't want to talk, or I'm done. Like you're not receiving what mm-hmm. I'm trying to give, and sometimes mm-hmm. it can be like So for example, like it can be like a tip or what is it or feedback or like advice. No?
Yeah.
And
like if you're asking them for advice and they don't.
No, if I'm giving advice.
Oh, okay,
right?
okay.
So I'd be like, like, try to avoid doing this or blah blah, and then they'd be like, well, I never said I was gonna do that, and I'm like, I never, and I'm just like, and then like I'm just shocked.
This is a suggestion.
Yeah, and I'm just like, and usually I respond with, well, I never said you were gonna do that. It's just and it's just an example. Like I would give an example, and they'd be like, oh well, I'm not gonna do that, and I'm like, I've never said you were, but I'm trying to...
You're engaging in the conversation.
Right, and I'm trying to give an example for, like, the advice I'm trying to give. And they would straight up be like, oh, well, I'm not going to do that. Oh, well, that's not me. I'm not, and I'm like, and that, like, I get annoyed, and I'm just like...
You no longer want to engage, right?
I no longer, and so then what I do is I just go, okay, you know what? I think I need to go do something. And I just leave. I'll go do something, and I'm like, I'm not gonna continue this where it's not gonna get anywhere, and you are gonna get offended for something that I never even said you were gonna do. Like, you're getting triggered, sweetie. Like, I don't know why you're getting triggered, but for some reason, and I'm just like, got it.
This is not a topic that we're gonna talk anymore.
Regardless, I'm just like, I'm not gonna waste my time. I'm literally not gonna waste my time into trying to like give you something that could be useful, and you're just gonna. You're looking at it...
Because it's not a malicious intent.
No. And you're looking at it at a different perspective of, like you feel like you're being attacked or for some reason, like... And I'm like, if the shoe fits, sweetie, then put it on. Like, right? I don't know. But I'm going to leave this conversation by, okay, I need to go do something else. I'll say something like, oh, you know what? I need to go do this. And I'll just walk away. Like, I don't care how you feel because... Like,
you didn't care how I felt.
Right, and I'm just like, whatever, it is what it is. I don't got time for this. I'm gonna move. Vámonos.
Yeah. On to the next. Como ni caramelos. Next. Anyways, next pet peeve.
Yes.
No, but yeah. So I'm glad that you kind of understood what I was saying. Because I felt like I sometimes it's tricky to explain myself. It's funny because like I have a podcast, we have a podcast, and like I feel like I struggle a lot with my words. I feel like I'm better at writing what I think than... I'm not saying I'm a good writer by any means, but I struggle sometimes to get
all of your thoughts.
Yeah, like what I have in my head.
In a
like,
nice...
Not in a nice, because I don't want to mean like sound politically correct. More that in the...
No, but it makes sense, like you word it right, where
yes.
like the other person can get it and be like, I understand what you...
Yes, exactly that. But another one of my pet peeves is people that play the victim. So this is like, for example, every single relationship they have, and it doesn't have to be romantic, but like relationship as in friends, relationship as in roommates. But it's like any relationship they have, all the negative aspects correspond to the other part. So it's like, oh, all my roommates are crazy. All my roommates are they're out to get me. Like maybe look inwards and maybe you're the problem. Right. Or like, oh, if they have like romantic relationship and it's like, oh, this person is crazy. He cheated on me. Oh, this person is crazy. He was not being engaging enough with me. Or like this person was like, when they start pointing every single negative and they don't take any accountability for themselves, that's like, for me, that's a red flag. That's what they call it, right? Yeah. Red flag, where it's like, this person is never gonna take responsibility for their actions. It's like the universe is out against them, like they're the center of the universe. I'm the center of my universe. You're the center of your universe.
But you want everyone else to be like, oh, Ricky.
No, not really, because I don't even... No. But like, I mean, like, have some self-awareness, Like, look into yourself. Because this is the biggest thing with me. Like, I know I have a lot of negatives. Like, I know, I know my character, my personality can be off-putting sometimes. But at least I know of it, There's some people that...
And you accept it, like I have it. And there's people who just be like, no, that's not me. No.
Exactly.
He did this or they did this. Yeah. And you're like putting in a reason of why they did what they did to you, even though you did never mention what you may have done to them or the things that you constantly do. And you're like, no. It's not me. That's what I'm saying. That's exactly what I mean. Like lacking that self-introspection where it's like,
what part of what factor did I contribute to this problem? Looking at it that way.
Mm-hmm.
And some people don't do that, and like for me, like it's so annoying to be around with those people because it's very draining. It's like you start to wonder how are they gonna see our relationship,
Yeah, or what they might tell to other people.
Yeah.
And or it's just I think like they just also look at the negative stuff and not the positive. And maybe because they just want guess pity from other people, or because like, oh yeah, like this bad thing happened, people would, and what are other people's first reaction? Oh, I'm sorry for that. Oh, that really sucks, or this and that, and they get what attention, and that people just want that, and I guess to do so, I need to just think all the negative stuff that's happened.
Make yourself look like the victim.
Right, and I hate that too.
Yeah,
that gets annoying.
Yeah, it's annoying, and it's one of those things where like all that negativity, it's like you're the one harboring that. It's a lot of times where those people that are like, I hate drama, and they're always in drama.
And it's because they started.
Yeah, they're a factor.
For some reason, it includes that person into that drama
all the time. So like I really dislike those people. So is that considered pet peeve or just something I hate? Something I hate?
I think maybe both. Because obviously all the pet peeves you hate them.
Yeah, that's true.
So I guess it's both. But no, yeah, I completely understand, and I find it like I agree, but like it's one of these like I think you eventually find in people that pet peeve in particular.
You might not see it at the beginning, but like once you like are around them often, and you're like, I had a friend. Oh my god. So this sounds like I break friendships really easily. I don't. Like, do I? No, I don't.
Well, I mean, no. I feel like.
Because they say, like, friends are here for a season and a reason. I heard of that before.
Yeah.
Like, friendships are not forever, Sometimes you're friends with this person only in high school, Sometimes you're only friends with this person in college, for a short period of time, for a long period of time, and then you stop being friends. So, one of these friends that I had in high school, she was... she was one of those people that, no matter what positive thing happened in her life, she still found a negative. You know what I mean? Oh so, like, for example, she got accepted to the college that she wanted to. And then for some reason, she found a negative. And it wasn't not even relating to that. It was like imagine she got the news of getting accepted to her college, and it was something to celebrate. But then she was like, no, my uncle was really mean to me. I hate him. Like...
So I'm not gonna go.
Yeah, like something petty like that,
Oh my
So it became one of those things where, like, every single time I would talk to her, and we would talk often, it would be something that, like, I would constantly just hear her troubles.
Yeah.
I would just hear what went wrong in her life that week.
So it's just, like, negative conversations, and you're just like, man, I just want to talk about something happy.
Yes.
Or, like, yeah.
And it was something where I'm like, why did that little factor ruin your whole weekend? And they would always say, like, oh, because, like, I couldn't, like, exaggerating that factor, And this is the thing. And this is where I accept where I did wrong, But the final nail in that coffin, in that relationship, was that, like I said, I was already, and this is the funniest thing ever, because I was already considering not being friends with him. But it was one of the things where, like, how do I phrase it? Do I ghost them? At this time, this is like almost 10 years ago now. It's like ghosting wasn't really a thing,
Yeah.
Or the concept wasn't really around. But I'm like, do I just stop responding to their texts or calls? I was already contemplating it. But what broke the relationship was that maybe they already saw that signs, but their aunt died. An aunt that wasn't even close to them,
Yeah.
And they texted me one day. They're like, my aunt just died. I'm in my feelings. I don't want to talk to anybody. So I took it literal. I was like, okay, she just informed me. I'm not gonna talk to her right now. She needs her space.
Yeah.
And then literally, like, not even a day later, I think it was the same day, she's like, I can't believe you didn't text me anything. My aunt just died. I don't want to be friends with you anymore. and I'm like I said, I already had the idea of not being friends with her.
So you took this as an opportunity.
So yeah, I didn't respond, and I just said, okay, friendship over. I was thinking about saying, it's like, I didn't want to be friends with you anymore anyways, you know, but like, that's petty.
Yeah.
And it also seems like I made it up because
she said it first.
Yeah, because she said it first. She broke up with me before I broke up with her, you know? Kind of like that. But this is where I said, I accept that I didn't, I was not, it was not the best tactic, you know? Like, I could have said, I'm so sorry for your loss, you know, like, whenever you want to talk, let's talk, you know? But I literally took it as she didn't want to talk at all, so I just didn't respond. So
well, it's because, like, I get it, because it's like one of the things, like, okay, the person is grieving, like, and they literally said, I'm like, okay, you're grieving. Like,
but I know I could have said something, you know, I know I could have said something, but in the end of the day, that relationship was for me already, like, had run its course.
Yeah.
You know, so like it wasn't
It wasn't going anywhere.
Yeah, it wasn't going anywhere positive because it was always negative. She had a boyfriend that like treated her horribly, and then like it's one of those things where like you give advice, kind of like how you were saying, you would give an advice and then they would never like take it, and they would like say, I'm never going back to him again, and then a month later they're back together, you know, like so I was getting frustrated with those kind of situations.
It was getting repetitive.
Yeah, it was getting repetitive, like I said, super negative. So it was fine with cutting the conversation, and we were very close, you know, like she was one of those people that like actually met my family, and she convivió con mi familia, you know. But it was just, and now like I don't want to sound cold-hearted, but like I don't necessarily miss her. Like we did have a lot of fun. She was fun to a certain degree, you know, and maybe in the future it's one of those things where like we might be friends again, you know, in the future. My 10-year anniversary and reunion, right? 10-year reunion of high school is coming up next year. She might be there if I go, and if everything's fine and I go, I might bump into her because I have another friend that's still friends with her, you know. Mm-hmm. So like there's still like a little link of communication, but it's like I would say like I'm open to that relationships coming back again, you know. Yeah. But it's not like something I like crave and miss, you know.
Right.
But that's the thing for me, the victim blaming. Another one of my pet peeves is passive parenting. So you know that kind of parenting where it's like, for example, I work at a restaurant. Once again, it's like you said. I feel like I mention that all the time. But it's like I work at a restaurant, and it's like a family comes in to dine, and they have a small kid, you know. And the kid, of course, is not gonna be like super focused on. There's some kids that are very well behaved, and they're eating, you know, like sitting down. They're not screaming, they're not crying, whatever. But there's other kids on the other side of the spectrum where there's like
running around, and like yelling or like making
on their phone with like the volume off, the way up, you know, like crying, throwing food on the floor, all that stuff. But the worst is like when the kid is like literally running around and it's not sitting at the table, and it's like I'm running, carrying plates, you know, with food, dirty plates back, drinks, you know, and the parents are not doing anything. That's what I mean by passive parenting, where they're like literally just sitting down and letting their kid run havoc all around.
Ignoring or being like, Jimmy, have a seat. Come on. There's people. Have a seat, Jimmy, please. Just
no, it's like,
down.
Get up, grab your
and
kid,
do it yourself.
and sit them down. You know, that's kind of what I mean. So that's one of my pet peeves. Mm-hmm. Another one is like if a kid is throwing a
tantrum.
Yeah, tantrum.
Temper,
and then you finish it.
Yeah. Tantrum.
Yes. That's another thing. Is like.
But what kind of temper tantrum? Because I've seen that parents if they're at the store, right, and the parents like, you're not getting that toy, and they like all hell breaks loose, and they're just like on the floor yelling at the mom, and like, you know, like
screaming,
crying, and like tugging on her and like all of this stuff, and the parent like walks out. Obviously they tell them like stop, because they don't want to the parent doesn't also want to make a scene, so they're like with a firm voice, they're like stop it, or blah blah blah.
So they're letting the temper tantrum like continue and like them get over it,
and
almost
then
in a way.
Right, and then if it doesn't work, like they'll leave and the child is there. Like you mean like that? Because I think that is like the parents trying to teach the kid a lesson. That's what my mom did with me though.
You're a bad bitch.
I'm just saying. My mom said that was like the first time and only time I did it, because she
threw a temper tantrum in public?
Yeah. Because
for what?
My mom said that every time I went to a store, I always wanted to get something from the store. Like
a toy? or
a toy,
candy?
anything. I don't know.
Oh, really?
And my mom said
You
I
would
was
go to
small.
Home Goods and you wanted a
pillow.
couch. I'm an interior decorator. Mom, cutting down your dreams.
Right? No, so my mom said that I threw myself on the floor, and my mom was like, "Oh no, you're not gonna do this to me." My mom said she left, and because of that, like I got scared. My mom said that was the first time and the last time you never even asked anything else for any store. Like
so you stopped the tantrums
and like
asking for
something from the store.
Oh, two birds, one stone?
Yeah.
Yes.
So, I mean, like, is that okay? Or, like...
No, I definitely agree with that. I think because that is, like, the parent didn't walk away. That wasn't their first reaction. You know, that wasn't their the first thing they tried. They probably tried to, like, say, no, we're not buying you a toy. You already have many toys.
Yeah.
I already bought you something today. They probably said something along those lines. They probably said, if you don't stop crying, you're not gonna get dessert for dinner, whatever that is.
Yeah.
So it was steps, you know. You went up,
process.
yeah, the process, and then they saw that you were crying on the ground, jalándote los pelos, screaming at the top of your lungs like somebody was beating you, and that's when they probably walked away.
Right.
So I agree with that. I that's not something I have a problem with. What I would have a problem is if the kid is screaming, throwing the temper tantrum, and the mom is like, calm down, like, you know, like with that passive voice.
And then they like later actually buy the toy so that
they can
actually just...
Well, this is the thing, because if the kid is having a temper
tantrum
in public, it means, definitely, I think, it means that they have had a temper
tantrum
at home, and they got away with it. Right. They got what they wanted. You know, they were screaming, crying for like their favorite toy to take away from their brother, and they got that. You know, so like if that temper
tantrum
doesn't it's not allowed at home, it's not gonna happen in the public. You know what I mean?
Right.
So it's like a cycle that has already been in place. Right. So that's what I mean by passive parenting, when they are not taking an active force in like teaching their kids what is right and wrong, how they should behave in public, how they shouldn't, you know? That's what I have an issue with. Okay. So your mom leaving you and crying, oh, props to your mom.
Yes.
Yes, Mama Fatima. What is your mom saying? Oh, you want to say? Socorro. Ya, socorro.
No, but
work, socorro.
That's it. But like, because I know that there's some parenting that like the parents like don't believe in like physical harm, like spanking, stuff like that. But even then, I feel like sometimes they're just like, no, John, like they're super like passive. Instead of having like a firm voice and be like, no, you're not gonna get that, or no, whatever it is, right? So I think those two, like that, especially that, like, no, sweetie, calm down. Like, no, I think it's like the firm voice. Yes. Like you're not yelling at your kid. You're just like, no, like
you're have the boundaries already set, and they know that if you talk that way, it means this.
Yeah.
Because I was gonna say when I mean like active parenting, I don't mean like spanking your kid, hitting them, you know, grabbing them by the shirt and like pulling them like all crazy. No, I mean, because I was talking to you about this recently. I've had a little bit of a change of heart or change of mind in the terms of whether I'm for physical punishment for kids, you know, or physical discipline for kids. Because, like, for example, I grew up with spankings, and I think that those things, they definitely affected me, because everything affects you, you know, no matter what, growing up. But I don't think it affected me negatively as much as it affects other people, you know? So, and like I said, it's one of those things where, like, it's individualistic to everyone, you know? Everybody has different reactions to different things. So, but I recently have seen it from the other side, where I'm like, I don't know if I necessarily, if I ever had kids, you know, would be for like physically disciplining my kid, you know, and like giving him beatings, you know, spankings, because I don't know, I feel like it's one of those things where like I've heard this from one of my teachers, like the first relationship a kid has is with their parents. You know, a lot of your beliefs, a lot of your behavior is basically formed by that relationship that you have with your parents and your family. So it's like if the parent is the the safety net, the safe space for this kid, and they hit the kid and they say it's for your own good, you know, like I'm hitting you for your own good, I'm hitting you because you don't behave, you know, like they're creating this dynamic where hitting somebody because they love you is acceptable. So when they have when they grow up and they have like a romantic relationship, it can even be between friends, you know. But if they have like a romantic relationship and their spouse partner is hitting them, it's harder for them to separate those two because it's like, well, my mom loved me, my dad loved me, and they hit me, and that was okay, you know. So I think they're more willing to accept that from a romantic partner, like I said, in the future. So that's why I see it as being a negative, because like I don't never want to be in that situation. I'll never want to be in the receiving end or the other end, you know, the one doing it also, you know. So that's what I'm like. My mind has changed a little bit because I'm not saying like an occasional tap on the hand, smack on the head, you know, it's not warranted, but like an actual beating, I don't know, because I feel like you can get the same result by talking to them.
Oh, I agree, because I work at a school setting with kids, and I do one-on-ones, and obviously when the kid like misbehaves or anything, it's strictly well, no, it's more of that talking, but it's not even yelling either or raising your voice. It's like, because just like you stated earlier, every kid is different, and they take, depending on the discipline, differently. There's kids with like one hit, it's like that's it, like, oh, that changed the life, and like I'm never doing that again. There's some kids that like, even like as much as you hit them, they don't care, and I think
they laugh,
they
hit you back,
or they just become depressed, and they're just like, oh, I don't care, whatever, because some kind of trauma is happening at home. So that's not gonna work. So like, why continue doing it? You know, and like for like you said, like talking to them, and sometimes being sweet, or you know, like hugging them, and literally taking your time to explain the situation. Sometimes that's why kids are always like, why, and you're like, oh, just, and then like
you get frustrated, and you're like, just do it because I said so.
Yeah, and like, no, like tell them why, so then they are able to understand the concept of why something is happening.
I think it's a lot of like discipline from your part that a lot of people lack, because like you said, it does take more time and effort to talk things through with your child than to hit them, you know, like if you want them to stop, for example, if they're jumping on the bed and you want them to stop, you might get a quicker response if you smack them, you know, and the problem is quote unquote solved, which we know is not solved. But if you talk to them and you do it a different way, it takes a lot more time. And like people are busy and they're like, okay, you know, like maybe the mom is on a call, you know, and they don't have time to talk it out. But it's like it does. I feel like it's like a discipline thing. You have to be constantly aware of what you're doing, because I think, for example, I don't know if you've seen those videos online on like Instagram and TikTok where it's like a kid which is like 2-3 years old, they don't want to eat their food, and then the parent brings a stuffed animal, and then, right, and then they feed it
to mimic what the kid is doing
with the stuffed animal, and the stuffed animal says no, that they don't want to eat either, and then the parent hits the animal, the stuffed animal,
and the kid gets like traumatized, like,
yeah, exactly,
like you're threatening the kid.
Yeah. And
this
like,
is what's gonna happen if
and
you don't
you're creating this like dynamic where it's like the kid is gonna be almost in a way fearful of you, and like I said, if you're their safety net, the kid shouldn't be that fearful of you. You know, they should respect you, but they shouldn't fear you, I think.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. Like, I agree with that. Like,
because you were talking about also how it's so much different, your experience, than your husband's experience.
Yes. So with me, like you said, we grew up with the chancla, the seatbelt. You know, like, this is how you learn not to do it again. For him, for my husband, he was I think he probably he can count in one hand the times that he's been spanked, right? But for him, when we talk about having kids, we always a discipline. How would you discipline your kids or whatever? He's more of the talking type, and I'm like, well, I grew up like this, and
I'm fine.
I'm fine. I'm more than fine. I'm perfect. I'm just kidding. It's like I learned how to respect others, you know. And he's like, oh, well, you can talk, but then it's like the negatives and like the stuff that I learned because of like a chanclazo, he doesn't know, or like it's him or his sibling, and like I see like when they do something, I'm like, oh, that would have been like a slap in the mouth right there, like, oh no, like that's unacceptable, like I wouldn't be alive if I did that, but again, it's like maybe because their parents didn't teach them that. They could have taught it by talking and explaining, which is totally fine. But for me, I don't know, maybe it's unfortunate or unfortunate. I learned, but I guess the harder way by physical abuse.
And it's not universal, because some people might be like, oh, if I talk that way to my mom, I would get a spanking or a beating. It's like, and they still do. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like they didn't learn from it. You learned from it.
Oh yeah.
And you didn't do it. But some people didn't learn from it, and they still do it.
But this is, I think, also, and then we might be going to another realm right now, but it's also like our culture.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And like we're Mexican, okay, we're Latinos, and for us it's like don't speak to your mom back, or don't speak back to the elderly, right? And my mom would always say, if the sky is blue and I say it's red, it is red. And I'm just like back then I'm just like, but that is so dumb. But okay, but basically she's trying to say, I'm always right. I'm always right. Don't contradict me. If the sky is blue and I say it's red, it's red. And I'm just like, but then this is stuff again that when we grew up, and I think you mentioned it, like it's a cycle. So maybe their parents
that's how they
were harsher on them, so they learn, so they're not as harsh to us. But then so when we have kids, we're not gonna be that harsh. We're like, I don't want my kid to go through that.
Yeah.
But then again, it's like if my parents didn't teach me in a talking way, like a nice talking, how am I going to do it? So it's one of those things where it's a perspective where you need to think about it more and be like, okay, when I have kids, I'm going to try to, instead of the first thing to do is like hitting, is talking.
Which is funny because like you mentioned, it's like when I talk to my parents, like, oh, you have no idea how their parents, my grandparents, they beat them like horribly apparently.
My mom would say like she would bleed.
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
how bad it was.
But that's what I'm saying. So like that just goes to show that violence goes with violence,
Right.
The cycle continues, because I feel like, I'm not saying it's universal, but I feel like it's less likely for a person that was never hit when they were a child, that when they grow up and they have children, that they would hit their child. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like that's like that shows that there's a cycle. It might be different because our cycle is like going lower and lower. Like their parents make them bleed. Their parents made them bleed. Our parents maybe gave us bruises. We might just give them a sting.
No, we're gonna just forever long life trauma.
Right? But like that, like that's.
But it's not funny. It's
a cycle. So like everything relates to each other. There's a thing that everything's connected.
Right.
We're connected. But another one.
Another one.
I have another pet peeve.
What is it?
And this is more like kind of like little almost in a way. I hate, like, I don't know if it's a pet peeve or something I hate, but it's like I just really dislike it. It makes my skin crawl. It makes me feel weird. My teeth especially, when somebody's eating and their spoon utensil touches their teeth and I hear it. Oh, it makes my teeth feel weird. Even talking about it right now, my teeth feel weird. I hate that. And with like the spoon or whatever touches the bowl.
Okay, yeah, the noise.
Yeah, so that's my pet peeve.
Wow.
But anyways, those are my pet peeves.
Oh yeah, they were great.
They were
great.
They were great. They were great. But let's take a break and we'll be back and talk about whatever Fatima hates. Not important, but yeah. Break.
Thank you for watching this video. Don't forget to follow us on Instagram at Interrupt the Rambling. Here's me showing you the page. This is what it looks like right now. So follow us. And this is our feed. To listen to the full episode, make sure to click on the link on the bio. And then it will give you all the other it'll lead you to the Anchor website, and there's a link to all the other podcast platforms. You can listen to all the episodes from the first season. We had 15 episodes on that season, and then all the newest episodes are going to be updated there. Thank you very much, and we'll see you next time.